There really is something magical about knitting in an alpine area. Hey everyone, and welcome to Alpine Knits. My name's Rachelle and I'm the knitter behind Alpine Knits, and I'm so glad you're here. This is a channel where we talk about all things knitting, but we do it in the context of our beautiful Australian alpine landscape. I am so lucky to live in such a beautiful area of the world. A bit about me. I'm a mum of a 4-year-old little boy who is rambunctious and loves life. I love skiing and I love all things outdoors, but I also love curling up with my knitting at a cute little coffee shop which overlooks the snow-covered peaks and spending time just knitting away. The great thing about where we live is that it is winter. It is a real winter. It snows, it's cold, it's cozy and cuddly. And knitting in a place like that is just, there's nothing quite like it. I feel that's the way knitting was meant to be. Knitting is very versatile, and certainly you can do it in a warm climate. When you live in a cold climate, it matters so much more because you're layering, you're keeping warm, and it's an expression of yourself. I really wanted a space on YouTube where I can discuss all things knitting in my beautiful alpine area and bring you guys along for the journey. The great thing about living in such a cold climate with many seasons is that I get to explore a range of different fibres and techniques. There are certainly a lot of fibre creators out there, especially from Europe in colder climates, that I know that if I was living in Sydney, I just wouldn't buy because it isn't conducive to the type of environment that Sydney is. And here I get to explore all different types of fibre. I get to explore all different kinds of pattern makers. And I really feel like this is the perfect location to really get into knitting. One of the things I have found really hard since knitting is knitting things that I know I would love to wear. And I have knitted 3 sweaters in my time. All 3 of them didn't go to me. They have gone to other family members who absolutely love them. They are the Novice sweater by Petite Knit. I'll put a image just up here to show you what that looks like. But I want to knit something that I want to wear, and that is hard. Not only is it hard living in Australia with the heat, it's also hard being a plus size person, and I definitely feel like the knitting community is a very positive, body positive community, but it takes so much more yarn, it takes so much more time to knit a garment to fit me. And that is why I have gone down the path of most of my garments that I am knitting on at the moment are vests. And I'm really excited to kind of get into the knitting vest vibe because I feel like I can then not spend as much money on yarn. So Alpine Knits exists because living in the alpine area of Australia is a really unique place to live. There's nothing quite like getting your knitting, going to a cozy coffee shop and sitting there knitting while the snow falls on the snow gums and knowing that it's only 20 minutes to go home and you're not on holidays. That is what I wanted to bring to this channel, is that this unique location in Australia is really a beautiful, vibrant community where we look out for each other, but we also get to spend time doing the things we love and slowly, because our community isn't a rat race. It is a calm, beautiful area that I really can't wait to share with the rest of Australia and the world, because I love living here, and I really hope that I can show you why living and knitting in such a unique, beautiful community is so good for your mental and physical health. Like, it is the best thing we've ever done, moving here, and I'm definitely keen to talk about that more one day if anyone is interested. But yeah, I think being a mum and a wife in such a gorgeous community is one of the best things I've ever done. One of the things you can see behind me is my color palette. It's very muted, it's very green and white, and that definitely speaks to my love of snow on snow gums. I don't think I can describe the beauty of snow gums. And when you're skiing past them or sitting in a cafe just looking out over the vastness of our Australian Alpine area, I don't think you can describe just how peaceful that is. And I want to bring that into my knitting. I want to bring that color palette into my knitting, that real raw earthy tones, and I am loving a lot of the different fibres from makers and creators that are in Europe, such as Knitting for Olive and Double Sunday and Peer Gynt, which I do have all of those behind me here, and I really want to create the perfect garments for them in a slow, sustainable way, but having them that I will wear them, because there's no point in knitting something if you don't wear it. Another thing I want to do on this channel is chat about different types of patterns. So I know my Ravelry queue is humongous. My likes are I got a ridiculous amount on there. And I can't wait to kind of share that with you and get your opinions on things, and also see what other people are making, because it is such a great community to be part of. The Alpine Knits channel is going to have a few segments. I'm going to talk about my whips. I'm going to talk about my finished projects. I'm going to talk about any techniques that I've learned. And I'm also going to talk about any future potential things like knit-alongs or meetups or anything like that that you guys might be interested in. I don't have any current finished projects to show on here today, because I finished 2 sweaters which I gave to my sister-in-laws that I did for Christmas. I made them out of Wool and the Gang yarn, which I actually had bought for a cable knit sweater, which I never really finished. A Wool and the Gang's knitting is often done is knitted flat, and I'm really not a knitting flat kind of knitter. I liked knitting around, so I scrapped that and I reused the yarn to create this novice sweater for my sister-in-law, and they loved it. Both of them loved it. And obviously you can see here I've knitted some socks for a while there. I was quite the sock knitter, but I have kind of gone away from sock knitting for a little while. It's very, very intricate, very enjoyable, but I really want to knit some sweaters or vests. So that brings me to my first ever What's on My Needles. This is my knitting bag. Don't mind the little boo-boo. I don't know why I've got that. Okay, so I'm knitting the Petite Knit Lulu pullover, which I am knitting in this gorgeous, let's just pull this out of my bag. I'm knitting the Lulu pullover, which I'm knitting in this gorgeous Double Sunday 100% merino from Norway. It is so squishy, and I got this when I was in Queensland. I was about to go on a cruise with a friend, and I really wasn't vibing what was on my needles at the time. I think it was the Cloud Sweater by Petite Knits, and I really didn't like the construction on that one. And I was knitting it in a cotton, and I was kind of a bit like, what is going on with my stitches? And I haven't really been knitting all that long, probably a couple years, and I didn't realize that I was twisting my pearl stitches. Now, the lovely lady at this random knitting store just near the airport in Brisbane actually showed me what I was doing wrong, and I was able to fix it pretty quickly. And now I don't twist my pearl stitches, but it was the way I was taught how to knit, and it hasn't affected any of my projects until I got to the construction of ones that kind of are knit flat to the shoulders and then around like that. And I'm really glad that I met her and she was able to kind of diagnose the problem that I was having. But yeah, I got that from there, and it's gorgeous. This is where I'm up to with this gorgeous yarn and my Lulu sweater. I've just got to do the front and then knit down the front. It does have some double knitting along the edge here, but I actually didn't buy enough yarn because I didn't have enough in stock. So instead of doing the double knitting, I'm just going to just have the ribbing as is. Otherwise I would have done it if I knew I had enough yarn, but just for the sake of making sure I'm not playing yarn chicken, I'm going to keep that as is. And I have been knitting on this for probably 4 or 5 weeks now, pretty consistently. Again, a lot of purling on this one, which isn't my jam, but it is okay. But yeah, this is my current real whip. I do have others in my stash over there, but I will show you those in subsequent episodes. So if you are interested of what is on my needles, like and subscribe, because I really want to show you guys what I am currently knitting and get your thoughts and opinions, and also see what you guys are knitting, because I feel like I love the ideas that people come up with. So I want to talk about quickly what I want this channel to be, because there are so many knitting podcasts out there, and I really want this channel to stand out as a place where we don't chase perfection. Our knits are what they are, but we all help each other, and we live in this slow, sustainable way of creating our garments. I really want the garments that I show to reflect the seasons that we have in Australia, especially in our southern states, because they've got 4 seasons, and we can really experiment with those kind of yarns and textures and that sort of thing, color work, when it comes to colder areas. I really want to showcase some of our alpine area as well, and I'm sure you'll fall in love with it just like I have. I really don't want this channel to be about any kind of fast content or hauls or perfection, because firstly, that's not me, and secondly, we're here to live slowly and sustainably and enjoy the peaceful moments. Next time on Alpine Knits, I really hope to chat about my finished project. Fingers crossed I have that finished, because that would be wonderful. I also want to chat about what type of yarns that I like to use and what is on my shelf behind me, because I bet you're curious about that, because I certainly was when I set that shelf up. I realized I had more in my stash than I realized, and there's certainly more hidden away. That's not all of it, which is, yeah. With winter coming up, I want to explore what we will be making in winter 2026. I know that it's January, it's hot, it's sticky, but winter is here before you know it. And if you live in the Alpine areas, you know that ski season rolls around pretty quickly, and we will blink, and before you know it, it will be winter and I won't have anything on my needles. So the next episode is going to be about finding the perfect knit for me to knit on for winter 2026. I'm so glad that you decided to join me for my Alpine Knits journey, and I'm so glad you stayed to the very end. I'm also really looking forward to sharing my journey with you and also sharing the place that I love to live. Honestly, leaving the city was the best thing I ever did. So if you like knitting and you'd like to spend some time with me in Alpine Australia, press that like and subscribe button, and I'm really glad you're here.